Hello and welcome to the Matani TV. I'm your host, Kaldris Relm. I'm joined here today with Darius JOHNSON and Hendrick Tallardar. We're going to be playing Hearthstone Arena.
Hey guys.
Hello everyone, it's Darius. How are you doing?
Now, essentially how Arena works, for anyone that's not aware in Hearthstone, is it's like draft mode in Magic the Gathering. So you're presented with a set of 3 cards, and you're only able to choose one of them. And then once you choose that one, the other 2 are discarded, and you're drawn another 3 cards. You continue doing this until you have a full 30 cards, and you play these decks against those like-minded people. The way that the Arena works in Hearthstone is this deck remains with you until either you win 12 games total, or you lose 3. At which point the deck is retired and you earn your rewards from anywhere between extra cards for your basic play mode, extra money so that you can re-enter into the arena, or arcane dust, which you use to craft cards in Hearthstone. So each deck that you create in Hearthstone does actually cost you some amount based on the admission. Now there's either you can pay it monetary, which is $2 each, or you can pay it with the in-game currency, 150. So obviously we want to play it with 150 coins because that's what we have.
It's worth noting, I think, also that essentially what happens is if you suck at Arena, you just paid, you're always going to get a deck out of Arena, no matter how poorly you do. So if you suck at Arena, you're just going to have bought an expensive deck of cards, basically.
Yeah, basically in Hearthstone, when you decide to buy a card pack, it costs you 100 coins anyways. The Arena costs you 150. So most people usually play the Arena even if they're just going for cards as a way to break up the monotony of playing with one deck the entire time. So once we enter into the Arena, we're presented with a choice between 3 of the 9 heroes in the game. So currently I've got Valeera, Sanguinier, the Rogue, Gul'dan, the Warlock, and Rexxar, the Hunter. Now based on how people have been playing it, there is sort of a meta that's been formed with which classes are better, just based on A, their class ability, and B, what cards they have access to. So now of the 3 of them, I want to play with Valeera Sanguinier, because her dagger mastery is really useful.
Oh, I thought it's because rogues do it better from behind. No? No one?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I could see that, yeah. She's got a pretty good body for that. So I'm going to choose her, and this is how everything starts. So you're generated with 3 cards. Now the way that it works in Hearthstone is there's rarity associated with it. So there's your common, which is your whites, rare, which are the blues, based on the little coins that are here, epics, which are your purples, and legendaries, which are your golds. Whenever you random rare, in this case you're always presented with 3 rares to choose from, and then it's based on which one do you want to play. So it's usually picking what's the best out of the 3 cards. And when you're trying to build an arena deck, you want to look at each card essentially in a vacuum. You don't want to compare it to any other cards to try to form combos, because the likelihood of you getting the remainder of those combos is rather small to happen.
So I was going to say something stupid and decided against it. I was going to ask a very stupid question of like, hey, how do you determine it? And I was like, oh wait, he just kind of went over that.
I was going to say you were going to say something stupid and you pulled it off anyway.
Yeah. I will say I never knew that the gems underneath the cards actually related to it.
That's a good point.
Never knew that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so there's also cards that don't have a gem associated with them at all. Those are still considered common, but the difference between them is the ones without gems you get from leveling up your classes, whereas the ones with the white gems you have to unlock, similar to all the others. So that's how to tell the difference between what kind of cards you're looking at. And rarity doesn't really necessitate how good a card is. There are a lot of common cards that are way better than a ton of epics and rares, so it really comes down to just getting the hang of the card itself. So we're going to start this off and go through our arena deck and build our 30 cards. So of the beginning 3 here, the one that I would want is the Violet Teacher, and the reason being is whenever I cast a spell, I'm able to summon an additional minion to deal with, and it's a good mid-game card for that purpose. So when I select it, it'll automatically then present me with another set of 3 cards, and I need to go through and keep picking out. I want to try to prioritize lower mana cost things unless there's something amazing, because generally your games are going to be very quick in this style. You don't want to build a deck that costs you nothing but 10 mana creatures, because you'll never get it out. And then you're going to want to look for abilities. So this Argent Squire, the first time this minion takes damage, ignore it, has an incredibly powerful ability, and we're going to choose her for that.
I genuinely hate the Divine Shield. Like, playing against it, it's the most annoying.
Yeah.
Divine Shield essentially means you have to at least dedicate 1 card to remove it, either a kill card or 2 damaging cards. So it's really good for that regard. The other mechanic that we want to keep a lookout for is drawing cards. That's really powerful. So the Loot Hoarder is something that we want. And then as we go, we just go through and pick what we want based on what there is. So
this is going to be great, because you do this completely different from how I do it.
Yeah, like, I just go through, like, oh, yeah, that looks fine, yeah, I'll just grab that. Oh, no, this is fine, yeah, who cares, it's 6, gems, fine.
I basically won't take any 1-cost cards, and I don't draft for draw in Arena. But I also suck.
We all suck. So some of the unique things that rogues have are combos, which is if you play a card previously in the turn, it will allow you to do something else. We don't want to try to focus on that because it's hard to pull off sometimes, but every once in a while you get a card that's just good on its own and has combo as a useful feature, so like the SI7 agent we want to grab because of that combo. And then we just go through and pick everything out that we would like.
Oh, I always think Betrayal is a good card to have, just because
it's really good if a person puts down a really high powerful minion on their team and they have a lot of other minions. You can take out everything. Acolyte of Pain is great at initially playing because most of the time it'll take someone 2 or 3 hits to take it out.
That's true, yeah.
Knife Juggler is a really good card, because as you keep playing spells, it will deal damage to the enemy, and it doesn't die from doing that. It doesn't have to trade in order to deal this damage.
It's also worth noting with the Knife Juggler that taunts, it's not affected by taunts, so that random enemy could... Like, if you're in a situation where he has a taunt card down, which is one of the problems, like, at least, I haven't played in a little while, but back when I was playing, like, religiously a Miracle Rogue deck, one of the big problems you run into is, like, one of the hurdles, one of the counters to the Miracle Rogue was using taunts for control, and the Knife Juggler, actually, what's advantageous about that is you can hit the other player even if there's a taunt down on the board.
You can also hit minions that are stealthed. Normally, even spells can't hit stealth minions, but anything that is either AoE or random mechanic damage will hit stealth creatures. So it's really good to, wreck a Warlock's day. If they put down a imp that bonuses everyone else's health, you can peg it with the Knife Juggler.
I didn't know that.
So you're going with a couple of taunts. Is that specifically just to counteract anyone who has, like, quick but high DPS guys with, like, charge and stuff, or...?
Generally, I'm picking these taunts because of their high health. I'm using them as sort of a delay tactic in order to get larger things on the field. And just in case, like, say, for instance, that you get a bad hand and you have a lot of spells, for instance, a taunt will keep you alive for the few extra turns that you need. Big Game Hunter is really nice to use. It's not a very good card on its own, but its effect is really powerful. So usually you would pick a Big Game Hunter and you just leave it in your hand and wait for your opponent to drop like a 9/9 legendary and then just blow it up.
Or it's the Magma Hound or whatever it is.
Core Hound?
The Core Hounds, yeah, I'm using, like, bad terms because I don't know any of these things from WoW.
Going back to combos, one thing to consider is one of the options that you had with that Big Game Hunter was Preparation, which is an extremely powerful spell if you're building, like in a Miracle Rogue deck, your whole thing is to build up minions that have on-combo effects, so like the larger your combo, the more powerful the minion is when it comes out of the hand. Preparation is a 0-cost card that reduces the next spell you cast by 3, which is just ridiculous. And another thing to think through when you're thinking through combos, which is what I think through, at least when I play a rogue, is something like when you look at the Big Game Hunter in combination with something like the Youthful Brewmaster. That does something where if the opponent has 2 big cards down, you basically drop the Big Game Hunter, take out one of the big cards, drop the Youthful Brewmaster, return the Big Game Hunter, and then drop the Big Game Hunter back down and take out the other one.
Yeah, and Youthful Brewmaster also has a lot of viability in returning minions that have taken damage. So one of the things that the rogue does not have is the ability to heal its minions. So let's say, for instance, I drop my Sen'jin Shield Master, and it gets down to 1 health. I can drop the Youthful Brewmaster, return it to my hand, then replay it, and it's now a brand new 3/5. So it sort of synergizes with a delay tactic, so we're gonna pick that one up. That's good. Way to go.
It also does synergize with the rogue combo tactic, because that counts as part of a combo.
Yeah. I personally love AoE damage. I will pick it every single time I can. So Fan of Knives gets in here at all points in all time.
And I actually would have taken the I forget what the name of the spell, the Shank, specifically because I get really annoyed by control decks. But like I said, when I focus on the Miracle Rogue, a lot of the time I'll see a lot of taunts dropped, and all I want to do is just finish laying damage down to the enemy hero. And the Shank basically ignores taunts, direct attacks the hero.
Now, in this case, would the Acidic Swamp Ooze be a really good counter to, like, say, the Rogue and Paladin decks? Because
Rogue, Paladins, Warriors, it gets rid of their weapon, yeah. Personally, I would lean towards the Harvest Golem. The ability to summon mobs is really useful, because the way that you would look at it is, say you put down a Harvest Golem, your enemy kills that Harvest Golem, it immediately puts out the damaged Golem, which you can attack with in your next turn. I'm a fan of bringing additional mobs into a game over top of what I can actually play, and then drawing additional cards, so I can always maintain that board control. So that's the most important thing, is keeping your opponent thinking defensively so that they can't straight up attack you. So personally, I'm going to go with the Harvest Golem. But yeah, the Acidic Swamp Ooze is really useful as a defensive spell like that. Alright, we got a rare. So Questing Adventurer is terrific, and in this kind of a deck will work out really well, because this deck has a lot of low mana cards. So the way Questing Adventurer works is every time you play any card, it gains 1 health and 1 attack, and it can spike up really quickly because of that.
When I was talking earlier about the Miracle Rogue deck where you're chaining combos to build ridiculously powerful minions, the Questing Adventurer is one of the 3 minions, I think, that you do that with.
Yeah. Assassinate is always great, being able to kill any minion that you want, just in case someone throws up something that you can't deal with without sacrificing your entire army.
What's nice about Assassinate too is that because it takes 5 mana, it can be good later in the game when they start dropping their big creatures if the game goes that long.
Yeah. Scarlet Crusader I'm going to pick up just because that Divine Shield is terrific. I don't have a lot of high mana cost creatures, and because I'm getting near to the end, I'm 22 out of 30 cards, I want to start looking for higher as a priority, just in case games do end up stretching to the end game, so I'm going to pick up the Lord of the Arena, as he's really powerful.
Just as an explanation, that little bar down at the bottom with the little fiery bits, that is essentially, the word for it is, what is it? It's mana pool or something?
Mana curve.
Mana curve, there you go. So basically what that does is it shows how many cards of each mana cost that you have. Because in general, you want to, like, it's going to be up to you where you want to be. Some people try and stay around a 4 average, you know, whatever your position you want to be in. But in general, your general strategy is that you don't necessarily always want a crazy. You want your mana curve to have a particular slope. You don't want all 3 mana cost cards, because you're not going to, by the time the late game hits, you're going to be getting just abused.
As my 3 mana is the highest of all of them. The way that I personally do it...
That was Freudian, dude, because I honestly, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, the way that I personally run it is, I look at it as a... essentially dividing up your mana cost. So I consider anything 0, 1, 2, and 3 mana to be one pool, and anything 4 and up to be another. And then I try to go 2 to 1 on that. So for every 2 0 to 3 mana cost I try to get 1 5 and up mana. And I find that works well, and it helps you so that when you draw your first hand of cards, you're not getting nothing but high mana cost things. But you still have that endgame viability. So let's finish this guy off. I'm going to pick up the Mugashan Warden, as he just takes forever to get through. He doesn't do a lot of damage, but same thing. He's just a delay tactic. He gets in your way and stops an enemy from being able to do something for a while. Plus, if you're playing against a Murloc deck, they will just rage when they see this guy.
In essence, what the taunt means on the card is that when that card is on the field, when the other hero plays either a minion or a direct attack on you, they must attack that card first. They have to attack creatures with taunt prior to attacking any other creatures.
So this is kind of an interesting conundrum we've got. We've got both the Knife Juggler and the Demolisher. And because we've already got a Knife Juggler, I think I'm going to lean towards the Demolisher, as it does more damage, and you don't need to summon minions to deal with it.
So in this situation, do you want to, because you have 2 1-mana creatures, do you want to start stacking up your 1 manas, or do you want to lean towards the Core Hound just because it's a good, powerful late game guy?
I personally don't like the Core Hound, as he's just... While he does have a lot of damage, he can be taken out pretty easily with that 5 health. So I would lean towards probably the Goldshire Footman.
The only reason you would go Core Hound in that instance is because of your mana curve, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need something, massive to sit there, or you've got, something that combos really well with it. Like a Warrior has good combo with the Core Hound because it can drop a Core Hound and then give it charge for free. So on the turn it gets put out, it can do 9 damage, and that's really powerful. We're going to pick up Sap just to get enemies off the field, and oh, damn it. So we either got Assassinator or the Defias Ringleader. Now, Defias Ringleader is one of those extra combos. And the nice thing about Defias Ringleader is, let's say you were to go second in a game. On turn 1, you can play this Defias Ringleader, have a 2-2 and a 2-1 on the field at the same time. The way that works is your coin that you get counts for this combo. So the very first turn you play the coin, you play the Defias Ringleader, and you have 2 minions on the field. So I'm going to pick him up, just because. We'll grab another Harvest Golem. Last card, another Questing Adventurer. That should sit nice. So there is our completed deck. We've got all of our 30 cards, and we're now good to go.